Hello, everybody. This is Bob Iacchino of Path Trading Partners, along with my co-founder, Mike Arnold. It is June 29th, and this is an afternoon Path Chat covering the futures markets. Pretty big smackdown on the stocks through most of the day, recovery in toward the end of the day, like has been happening quite a bit lately. There's always been, not always been, but there have often been buyers of these dips. We had S&P down, NASDAQ all down over 1% at one point. And the S&P ended up down 0.86%, the Dow down 0.78%, and the NASDAQ down 1.44%, so almost 1.5%. U.S. Treasuries index was also down, so the yields went up on U.S. Treasuries as well. And again, the dollar was lower. The dollar index down almost 0.5%, 0.39% to be exact. Looking at the economic calendar and some of the news, in terms of the news, we again had pushback on the healthcare bill. Doesn't seem to be going very well for the president at all. Tech stocks got beat up pretty badly. You want to put that in the news category. As a matter of fact, when you look at the sector breakdown, the only sector up today in the U.S. was financials, up almost 0.5%, 0.44%. But technology down 1.67%, non-cyclicals down 1.1%, cyclicals down 0.65%. Telecoms down 0.74%, utilities down 0.80%. Pretty broad sell-off, again, except for financials, which again makes sense. When you see yields rise a little bit, you can see financials rally a little bit. With all of that, we had a spike in the VIX, a pretty decent spike in the VIX that Mike will show you. And then it came back down to earth, still though finishing above its moving averages and finishing quite a bit stronger than it has in recent days. Crude oil was broadly unchanged. It was down ever so slightly, but not enough to report home about. We'll call that an unchanged day in crude oil. And we saw base metals rise again. Copper rose, making it close to a 3% rise for copper during the week. Silver rose ever so slightly, and gold rose ever so slightly. Again, both of those I'd consider to be basically unchanged because the rise was nothing to write home about. That is basically it. Global central banks and global economies continue to look better in terms of the economic calendar. This morning, we had German Consumer Price Index year over year come out at 1.6%. It had an expectation of 1.4, so that was better than expected. U.S. Gross Domestic Product, the final for Q1, 1.4% versus 1.2% last. You get the personal consumption expenditure, which is an inflation gauge, was slightly lower. It was expected at 2.1. It was 2.1 last. It came out at 2.0. Initial jobless claims, 244,000 versus an expectation of 240, and a revised lower of last week for 242,000. And then the continuing claims are now 1948 million versus 1935 million expected. Consumer confidence in the UK dropped, -10 versus an expectation of -7. Going over to Japan, which the stuff just came out, household spending year over year down 0.1%, but that's good. It was expected down 0.7%. Their national consumer price index year over year came in at up 0.4. It was expected at up 0.5. And their year over year industrial production came out at 6.8% versus an expectation of 6.9. So both misses, but not by much. We're awaiting Chinese PMI for June and their non-manufacturing PMI for June and Australia's private sector credit. Having said all that, let me turn it over to Mike to let you know what he's seeing on the charts. Mike, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Bob. Let's check in with the VIX. Got some major movement on it today. 1 point spiking up to 1516 before dropping down into the close back to 1144. Major movement there. So let's take a look at what caused that movement in the financial futures. We have the Dow Mini Futures. You can see at one point a very substantial drop, getting just below the trend line, the path trend line, before finding some support and coming back up, closing pretty much at a key Gann range. So, nice big move. Opened up right at our path trading trend line, spiked up a little bit to this prior defining point, and then dropped back down. So for tomorrow, what are we watching for here at Path Trading Partners? On a rally, the major levels are 21,366. Then we'll be watching for about 21,435. Then major resistance, if we have a big rally, 21,455 area. If we drop back down, first level support is going to come in right around 21,180. Then we'll be watching for 21,140. If we do get back through there tomorrow, 21,111, and on a very big drop, 21,066. Switching over to the S&P E-mini futures, also substantial drop, getting down to the prior breakout zone, which we've had highlighted in red, finding support there and rallying back above the trend line. Opened up, found some resistance at the trend line that's been in place for a couple days now before dropping. So, continued down move tomorrow. First level support about 2,414. Then we'll be watching for 2,411. Then 2,407. Then retest of today's lows, 2,402. And if we do get below that, 2,398 to 2,400. On a rally back up, first area of resistance is going to come in at 2,431. Then we'll be watching for 2,436, 2,438 next level. And if we get back through there, a retest of today's high is right around 2,445. Finally, over to the NASDAQ. Lots of volatility coming in on this NASDAQ. Big down day. Yesterday was rally back, almost recovered the whole thing. Then today, wiping out that whole rally. Getting below the trend line defining point, which is not a redraw yet. Dipping down, didn't quite get to our 87.5 GAN level. Actual low today was 56.01, right around the round number, before rallying back up into the close. So on a decline tomorrow, first support 56.31. Then the 5,600 level. If we do get through that, 55.95, and then we'd be watching for the end of the clear path move down to about 55.76. On a rally, pretty significant resistance, 56.85 area. Then we'll be watching for a return to the 57.28. Then if we do get through there, we could see a return up around the 57.64 on a very big snapback rally. Switching over to crude. Crude, not much excitement. Got to the full end of the clear path move from this trend line. It's moved above the declining 21 for a bit, closing back down before it. Reached up. We talked about this prior breakdown level, the 45.50 area, just ended up just shy of that. So rally again tomorrow, the 45.50 area. If we do get through that, 45.92 to 46, and then we'll be looking for, on a very strong rally, about the 46.42 area. On a pullback, first support coming in about 44.70. Then we could see a nice drop to 44.23. If we do get below that, next key area down, 43.72. Switching over to gold. Gold, it's a pretty uneventful day. You know, it's been caught in this range for the last 3 days. Came down low just above our trend line and the 200. Rallied up slightly into the close. Didn't get really, it's got some overhead resistance, doesn't get to our key overhead resistance. So on a rally tomorrow, we're going to be watching for 1253 first level, then major resistance 1255 to 1257. If we do get through there, 1258's next key level, then we don't have anything really until about 1261. And on a very strong rally, we budget for about 1265. If we sell off tomorrow, support coming in 1244. Then we're looking down to about the 1240 level. If we do get through 1240, next key area is 1237. And then below that, about 1235 to 1233. Finally, to wrap up today, over to silver. Silver, again, Went up to our key significant level, dropping back down. No redraw of our trend line yet. If we continue lower tomorrow, about 1660 first level of support. Then we're looking at 1654. Then about to 1648. And on a very big drop, 1642 would be the key level. On a rally back up, minor resistance 1679. Then we'll be watching for 1683. Then a return to our significant level at 1689. If that is violated and we have a big rally or a multi-day rally just beyond today, for next week, we'll be watching for 1701. That's all we have for you on this PM Futures update. Back to you, Bob.
Thanks for that, Michael, and thank you guys for watching. We'll be recording a Money Path podcast tomorrow morning, so there won't be any more updates until the weekend updates. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you like what we are doing, and we will talk to you in the next Path Chat. Cheers, everyone.